Hello. Right. I wanted to do a video like this for a little while, so I thought, sod it, I'll just do it. And it's not planned, it's not rehearsed, so it's probably going to be awful, but we'll see how it goes. So, daily drivers. Now, most of us petrol heads, we usually have one nice car that we cherish and another car that we use as a daily driver, that we will drive in all weathers, park anywhere, and we usually maintain it well because we're petrol heads, but we don't necessarily care so that much about it, you know. So, in regards to daily drivers, some people will have a fairly nice daily driver, I suppose, still, and other people will go for a complete and utter ropey pile of crap. And then there's the people in between, which will go for something that's kind of all right and just sort of stick with that. Well, I've always been under the impression that old school cars, I mean, I love old school cars anyway. It's all I really have. But old school cars need to be kept alive. And the only way of doing that is by driving them and keeping them on the road and saving them from being scrapped. So, every single daily driver I've ever had, I've made sure that it's an old car. And it's one that would have otherwise been destined for the scrapyard or for being breaking. And I basically just wanted to do this little video just to say that you can get a daily driver car and have fun with it and make it look silly and whatever you might want to do to it for way less than £1,000. It's totally doable. And let's be honest, at the moment, the way the world is, not much of us have got much money. I know I haven't, and it's hard enough trying to run one car, let alone two. But that's where this little car comes into play. So, I will show you it now. So, I bought it, 2 years ago now. I've had it 2 years. Some of you can probably already tell what it is from the dash. Yes. Look, it's a time machine. It isn't. I wish it was, but it isn't. Right, here we are. It is a 1997 Peugeot 106. And it did not look like this when I bought it. It was green, but that was it. It was green with steel wheels, and that was literally it. But it was an honest car. I bought it from an old guy, one owner. When I bought it, it had done 42,000 miles, and it's now on 64,894. And let me tell you that those extra few thousand miles have not been easy, because I haven't exactly been poodling about in this little car. I have given it some shit. And it takes it quite well, I've got to be honest. For a Peugeot, this is my first ever Peugeot I've ever had, and I've got to be honest, it's not bad. I'm quite impressed with it. Everything works. It's all together, there's no rust. Yeah, it's so far is okay. So, anyway, this is the basic car. Like I said, bought it from an old guy. It was a one-owner car. He'd had it all his life. And I paid the great sum of £375 for this entire car, with 42,000 miles on the clock, I think it was, 42. I mean, 375 quid for any car with an MOT with 42,000 miles on the clock. Where are you going to find that now? Yes, all right, it didn't have the alloys and it didn't have the stickers and it didn't blah, 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 blah. Yes, all right, but it was all together, it had an MOT, it ran, and it was fine. And I drove it exactly how it was for a year, and nothing went wrong. It was absolutely fine. So I said to myself, right, if this goes through the next MOT for any less than what I paid for it, then I'll keep it. And it did. It went through the MOT, it passed. It only cost me, I think it was less than 80 quid anyway, I think it was. It needed like a brake line or something. It was something very, very minor. So it basically cost me about 80 quid to get it through its MOT. That's including the cost of the MOT, which was about £45. So you can't really go wrong for that. So basically, when you add it all up, I've had this car for 2 years now, and it still owes me less than £500 in terms of maintenance. What I've done to it, I've put some Saxo VTS wheels on it. I bought these second-hand and sprayed them white, put those on. They basically bolt straight on. They're quite a nice wheel. They suit the car quite well, I think. Make it handle a little bit better as well, because obviously the standard wheels on these are only 13-inch and the tyres are about 75 profile, I think, and these are 45s, so a lot lower profile. I've upgraded the front brakes. We've got drilled and grooved discs on it now. You can kind of just about see those through there. Drilled and grooved brakes and uprated brake pads. I would kind of do that on any Peugeot 106 of this age, because that is one thing that does let this car down, is the brakes are shocking. Now that I've upgraded them, I mean, I'm not, you know, they're not Ferrari brakes by no stretch of the imagination, but they do work and they are much better than they were. So I would definitely recommend anybody who's going to get one of these cars, and you're planning on keeping it standard-ish, then definitely upgrade the brakes, because they are shocking. The mirrors are pretty rubbish as well. That's the only other thing. They flap around all over the place in the wind, as you can see. I'm not sure if I think it's just because it's old. But, you know, I mean, what do you expect? It's an old car, but they work. They're there, they work, it's fine. So I'm not too bothered about things like that. The exhaust, found that on eBay. That was a second-hand jobby. It's a Janspeed one, so it's old school again. But it's a proper one for the car, stainless steel, and that cost me the grand sum of £10. So, yeah, I mean, the exhaust, £10, right? The wheels, they were less than £100. I think I paid 85 quid for them, or something like that. The brakes are from M-Tech Brakes, this company here. I use these brakes on most of my cars, and as a sort of lowish price performance brakes company, they are actually really good. So yeah, the brakes are M-Tech and they are good. They cost me, I think, 60 quid for the discs and about £35 for the pads. So we're still under a grand. And then all of the stickers and bits and bobs on top, I've just bought those off of eBay and stuck them on myself for sort of a couple of quid a go, really. They don't mean anything. They're purely there for a laugh. The stickers are literally just for a laugh, because, you know, who says you have to have a boring daily driver? And it does get some looks, and I'm sure they're all for the wrong reasons, but I don't care, because it's funny. And it is funny, and I love driving this little car. And don't get me wrong, it's a 1.1, right? It's a 1.1 8-valve single point injection. And from factory, these had around 60 horsepower. So that's not exactly a lot of power, is it? But if you do this, which is to strip the entire car out, apart from the front seats and carpets and things, it's actually a very light car. These are under a ton standard weight as it is. So if you strip out all that extra added stuff that you don't need, you know, I mean, you spare wheel alone, most modern cars don't have a spare wheel anyway, and it's not a legal requirement, so just carry a can of that spray stuff and you're all right. But a spare wheel is like 20 kilos nearly, on average. So that's just 20 kilos there from a spare wheel. And then you've got the rear seats, you've got all the sound deadening, you've got your seat belts, you've got your door cards, you've got all the foam in the doors, you've got all the motor stuff in the back for the boot. Everything. There's a lot of weight that came out, and this car probably weighs about 700 kilos, if that, now, I reckon. It's a very light car. So 1.1 with 60 horsepower isn't actually too bad. And It's not fast. It's never going to be fast, but it's not what I would call slow. I've had cars in I had a good example. Here we go, good example. I had a 1.8 Vauxhall Cavalier years and years ago. That was another daily driver I had. Vauxhall Cavalier 1.8, 8 valve, right? And that was shockingly slow compared to this. This would run rings over that. And that was a 1.8. Yes, it's a bigger car and everything and blah, 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 but that's my point. It's a bigger car, more weight, heavier, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, the fact that this is only a 1.1 with 60 odd horsepower, it doesn't really matter because now it's light and it's stripped out and it's got better brakes and it's got decent wheels and blah blah, all that lot on it. It just makes it more of a drivable car, and you really can wring its neck, and you're never really going that fast, but it's just great fun. It's really, really good fun. It has a huge clock, and I did say clock there, but yes, it has one of those instead of a rev counter. I'm presuming it's something to do with this being an extra time model. I was told that this is a rare model. I don't actually know if that's true or not because I don't know that much about Peugeots. But anyway, there it is. There's the clock, and there is the rev counter, which I've had fitted recently. It was an easy enough job. Had to be slightly tapped into the ECU, but yeah, it works now. I have a rev counter, so that's all good. I only really got it because I like rev counters. I just like to know what's going on, really. I like a rev counter. So yeah, there's that. Let's show you the engine because it's very impressive. It isn't. Right. Yes, look at that. That is 60 horsepower of French goodness. Now, it's a bit dirty, but it's a daily driver, so I don't really care that much. I did spray this red, but it's kind of gone brown now. And I've put an induction filter on it there. And there's the cold air feed and taken the restrictor pipe off, and that's about it, really. The engine is completely standard. But it's good. I mean, look, there's no leaks. Look. It's nice and clean, nice and tidy, no oil leaks. It's all good under here, look. No sign of any issues. Yeah, it runs really, really well. It doesn't use any oil, doesn't smoke, doesn't use any coolant, touch wood, you know, it's so far, it seems to be all right. The only thing modified that I've done, if you can call it mechanically, other than the induction filter, is decatted it, and that's it. That is basically the only thing I've done. So you got the induction filter and the decat, and I took it to a dyno out of pure morbid interest because I wanted to see whether it even still made standard power. And that video is on YouTube if you want to watch it on my channel, and it actually made 63.1 horsepower. So I was actually quite impressed with that. For an old car that's probably only ever been poodled around all its life by an old guy, and then it gets given to me and I rag the crap out of it, and it actually produced alright power for what it is. So yeah, not too bad. So we'll finish the video with a little rev, and then that'll be that. So there we go. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you next time I do a video. Right, there we are. Ugh. It'd probably blow up now, just my luck. No, I think the camera fell over then. That's because it's so powerful, it blew the camera over, in my mind. Nothing to do with the wind, definitely not. But even if you didn't see it, because I don't know until I get home and upload this, you would have heard it. That's kind of the point. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed this completely pointless video. And I will see you next time. Bye.